Well then, we did rifle cannonade, we did pistol cannonade, so now it's of course time for shotgun cannonade. There are quite a few shotguns to choose from when it comes to shotgun cannonade, but I had to go with my beloved Corinth Prime. I fell in love with the original Corinth when it first came out, and I still love the Prime today. It's kind of ridiculous how good shotgun cannonade is, by the way, because it is considerably stronger than even primed point blank. Just in case you don't know, the Corinth Prime is a semi-automatic primary shotgun with an underbarrel where the primary fire does primarily puncture damage, but it still has a decent amount of slash and impact and a base multi-shot of 6, and it sports a 30% crit chance, a 2.8 times crit multiplier, and a 9% status chance per projectile. And the secondary fire fires an explosive grenade from the underbarrel that you then have to detonate manually by pressing the secondary fire again, and this does a bit of impact damage when you hit something with it directly, but when you detonate it, it will do 2200 blast damage in an almost 10-meter area. The grenade, however, only has a 4% crit chance with a 1.6 times crit multiplier and a 50% status chance. So let's see what we can do here, shall we? My beloved Corinth. This is such a good shotgun. The unique trait, by the way, here is just the underbarrel, so the secondary fire. I just realized that a fully ranked primary frostbite goes for 40 platinum nowadays. I'm just gonna buy it. This should be really good for this, because we get base damage from Cannonade, so we don't need stuff like Merciless or Deadhead, and I want to go with a Corrosive and Cold setup, so having extra crit damage and multi-shot is just gonna be awesome, I think. Shotgun Cannonade is kind of nuts, because even Prime Point Blank is like, what, 165% damage? Let's get some Galvanized stuff in there, Galvanized Hell for the multi-shot, Savvy for the status chance. We're gonna have to reformat something, because I definitely want to go with Prime Chilling Grasp. And you go there. Oh, I forgot that the shotgun version, Critical Deceleration, actually has a V polarity, not a dash. So I guess we can format the dash into a D then. Yeah. Let's get Ravage on there as well while we're at it. So let's swap you into a D. Let's move it down there. And there we go, an absolute truck ton of cold damage. Top it off with some corrosion. Lovely. For now, we can just use it one rank from the top. Let's do a Grenier battle group and Steel Path level 100, yep, that's fine. I kind of expected the Arcane to stack up faster, but it is stacking up, it's going up, so it's fine. One thing that I do not like is that the reload is very long. Also, I'm not entirely sure if I ticked off Steel Path. I seem to be doing a lot of damage. I did indeed. Maybe it was because we were using Corrosive against a faction that's weak to it. So that wasn't it. The armor are going down just as fast. The reload is bothering me though. Also, the Arcane is kind of, I don't know, it's not stacking up anywhere near as fast as I thought it would. Let's actually try the secondary fire here. Yep, so maybe we can use the secondary fire to stack the Arcane. I want to max it out so that I can run Galvanized Acceleration for more effective range. Hi, how are you doing? I'm very hot right now. Let's put another D right here. And there we go. Now we have even more effective range, which on the Corinth isn't too bad because it's not too inaccurate. I do want to try a Hunter Munitions build as well though. I think we're finally gonna try Vendetta. I'm not so sure about the trigger condition. Getting a kill within 5 meters. I don't even know if this triggers from damage over time death, so let's try it out and see what it do. Luckily, the format setup is more or less the same, and we can even fit in Galvanized Acceleration. Look at that. One thing that I like about most shotguns is that even if you're doing a damage over time build, you usually have a lot of upfront damage, so they feel good. I think I like this more than the Corrosive setup, actually. I finally added Harold into the mix, so let's do some mission tests. First up, we have the Hunter Munitions setup. Pretty much no ramp up, yep, awesome sauce. So far so good, we have plenty of damage and the extra reload speed from Vendetta is absolutely tremendous. Secondary fire is kind of useless though. I think this is gonna be one of those rare occasions where even for me, a Hunter Munitions vital setup is going to be the best. Because I'm one-shooting things in Steel Path, even with a dot build, it just feels good and then you have the damage over time for some really good scaling. Okay, time for an Acolyte, show yourself. Yup, that was a big hit, okay. Yeah, that's more than acceptable. I mean, dot builds are not great for Acolyte, so that's pretty much as good as it gets when it comes to dot builds. Now, let's try the Corrosive and Cold setup. Ramp up should be roughly the same, it is. The Arcane is just not stacking up very well though. I think that's like the biggest problem. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try this setup but with Vendetta instead. I think this is going to be better with Vendetta because we don't get as much damage, but we get the reload speed, and the reload is really getting on my nerves. The damage is pretty solid though, I definitely can't call it bad. Well, we even get the same Acolyte, it's going to be a good comparison. I'm expecting this to do a lot better though. Yeah, Corrosive and Cold setups are very good for Acolyte. Yeah, let's do another test, but this time around with Vendetta instead. This instantly feels a lot better. You don't get quite as much damage because you don't get the crit damage, but the reload speed is just awesome. This I can definitely recommend. Basically, the difference here is that this setup is good for base level Steel Path and the normal star chart, but if you want to go deeper into Steel Path, I would go for the 100 munition setup instead. It just has better scaling. Malice, Madut. Oof. Yeah, this is an Acolyte killer and a half. So, in the end, we ended up with two separate Cannonade builds for the Corinth Prime. The first one focuses on upfront damage and the second one on damage over time. The upfront damage setup runs Galvanize Hell for multi-shot, Galvanize Savvy for status chance and condition overload, critical deceleration and primed ravage for crit. Then we have Prime Chilling Grasp for a ton of code, Toxic Barrage and Shell Shock for corrosive damage and status chance, and we top it off with Semi-Shotgun Cannonade for a bunch of damage and punch through. Now, since both the setups run Shotgun Vendetta as their arcane, you don't necessarily need Galvanized Acceleration, because Shotgun Vendetta gives you a bunch of multi-shot and reload speed if you kill an enemy that's within 5 meters of you. The second, damage over time focused setup is pretty similar to the first one. We're still running Galvanize Hell, Savvy, Critical Deceleration, Primed Ravage and Semi-Shotgun Cannonade. But we replace the Corrosive and Cold combo with Toxic Barrage and Frigid Blast for vital and status chance and Hunter Munitions for slash procs. However, this doesn't squeeze the absolute maximum out of the Corinth. If you want maximum damage, you want to outsource Vital somewhere else onto like a pet, a priming weapon or a Warframe, and replace Toxic Barrage and Frigid Blast with Shotgun Elementalist and a faction mod. The Corinth, or Corinth Prime, is one of my favorite shotguns in the game, so of course I'm gonna recommend you give it a shot. It's always been very solid with a good Hunter Munition setup, but now that we have access to stuff like Cannonade and Elementalist, it's so much better, it's not even funny. You can get a ridiculous amount of damage out of it and use it pretty much anywhere. With that said though, I would recommend you try the Corrosive and Cold build as well, because it is absolutely tremendous for Acolytes and status-resistant enemies in general. And that is pretty much all I wanted to say, so I thank you very much for watching, as always guys, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. This kind of concludes my obsession with the new Cannonade mods, and I will move over to Elementalist mods instead, because I kind of want to make some silly blast builds. So if you have any recommendations, please leave them in the comment section down below. And finally, I also want to extend a special thank you to all the channel members, so thank you very much guys, I really appreciate your support, it means a lot to me. And I'll see you next time, bye bye.